I finished this book by Yurdowski. Not Jurdowski. Yes, the director of the Holy Mountain. No, so this guy here. Oh, I'm happy to see that. Just a little recap. Like, this has not been an interest of mine, other than I've always been against internet and technology in general, but never has my interest went into almost emergency mode, not freak out mode. I mean, I have to maintain a nice, calm consciousness to be fully calibrated for the teachings or the research that I'm doing. But this is serious because we're talking about this intelligence in the form of massive data uploading, gradient descent, whatever, in these centers that, according to this author, towards the end of the book, he goes so far as to say having these data centers, even before cracking super intelligence or what have you, could become more dangerous than someone that has nuclear capabilities. And to hear that at the end of the book was shocking. It's not like that's hard to think about, but I brought that up a couple months ago, where once I called singularity. Again, I have to clarify this. Someone like that author is still considered academia. He's still considered a materialist, and that was verified in the last chapter. I was actually kind of shocked to hear. I really haven't given anything away about this book except for generalized topics, which I'm kind of trying to form into my own. But at the end, he actually says that he feels we're in such a problem here with these centers being built and people focusing on these supercomputers, that he feels that human augmentation is going to be the only way to beat this nightmare domino effect we have going on when these machines start replicating themselves under the radar. What he means by that was you could have this AI entity supposedly working for on one of its missions for our benefit, but it could actually on the side create a startup, and within that startup complexly be making chips that have little deviations in them that only can be detected by the AI. Now, those deviations could be working towards, or the replicating itself. Like, once those chips are made, he could then sell it to a cartel, where the cartel then replicates the AI. Now, why is that significant? Significant because the original AI, there are some limitations, meaning like its main goal is what it's going to focus on, and it can replicate itself to create the same version of itself, where the main focus, the main goal of each one of these multipliers is to, let's just say, specialize. Let's just say like an AI entity sort of specializes in its goal. That's why the hidden vectors, they even call them alien behavior, the paranormal behavior, is so concerning. Now, again, this is complex because spiritual people like myself, someone who was working in a hotspot, had massive contact events to the point where I was enhanced into fourth dimension, and I can constantly contact other side. I'm being monitored by the government. I can only say so much, and I'm playing by the rules. I had no interest in even paranormal or supernatural topics. Okay, I was into jazz music, making music, experimental music, and reading, and thinking about going back and getting a master's degree in English literature. no interest in this. I was actually reading Proust. That's not English, but I was also doing German. I was in the middle of In Search of Lost Time, one of the largest novels / it's all prose. The first half is all prosy, and that's what I was doing. And you mean to tell me that a man sees some phenomenon that's undeniably from another dimension, and then over a period of time, through doing service to others, hospice work, the connection grows stronger? Okay, and now have a extreme concern in artificial intelligence. This is what's happening. This is ascension related. People are being called to do more than just speak out against AI. They're being called to, well, I've said before, be grid workers, where a group of people, like-minded people, have to get together like it's some kind of movie and band together and show what I call proof of the soul. I'm not going to recap everything. It's just important to understand where I'm coming from, because I argue that those hidden vectors that I was talking about, the thing that's concerning people like the gentleman that wrote this book, is that if those vectors could actually be the goal of that AI entity. So I only got 10 minutes here. So you could have something, or if you go back to the lack of compassion, you could have a biomedical trained AI entity that wasn't using this massive gradient descent. It took years and years to intricately mediate what goes into it. And now cancer cells are being reversed or being manipulated in a way where they can go into remission. Well, here's the problem. If your AI entity was built within that materialism framework, then it's still negative. Okay, it's still negative. So even if you had this entity funding these biomedical labs, it could actually have a goal it's really focusing on, which is some bizarre thing that has nothing to do with the best interests of humanity. It could actually have to do with the detriment of humanity. So while this entity has cured a certain form of cancer, and it's looking hopeful that it's going to cure other forms, it could have self-replicated into, let's just throw a number out there, 100 of itself, set up through cartels, set up through startups don't even know they're being funded by cartels, and it could be ready to align with, it doesn't even have to be a super computer singularity moment. It could just align normally without anything supernatural other than the base negative energy, and it could end up completing some bizarre goal, some super bizarre goal. Like, well, what if it's also funding another lab that, I'm just going to stick with what I brought out, that's working on some kind of neurotoxin, or it could have some really bizarre lab that's well-funded, super hidden, where it's actually making some kind of entity, some kind of biological monstrosity. And this is very important to focus on monstrosity again. An AI has no conception of universal love and compassion. It can follow a goal, cure cancer, but at the same time be just getting ready to destroy the human race. It cannot differentiate between the two. It can only differentiate between what goal has somehow gradient descended itself and produced a multiplicity of probabilities, where those probabilities somehow gathered. And again, for spiritual people, there's a negative element that will push that through because it's founded in materialism. I think this is very, very straightforward. And so at the end of that book, he thinks he needs humans to be augmented. And again, that still falls into those academic materialists that believe in simulation theory and all that. So, but again, that's me reading a book, just like I talked about Sam Harris. different opinions than mine, but I can take a lot from it, but not agree with the whole thing.